Good morning. Hi, my name is Brian Snyder. I'm the founder of Your Body Never Lies, which is an internal body language training program. You need to shut your volume off, Susan. Thank you. So I have a Zoom call going on right now with one of my students, and that's why the echo. So Your Body Never Lies, we have a college that's not quite open, but hopefully will be this week if I can figure that out. And at this school, we learn how to uncover and use our intuition. And when I'm talking about intuition, I'm talking about power of connection, power of interaction, power of manifestation, knowing what's happening, choosing what's going to happen. So there's a lot there. And today we're going to talk about some piece of it. Not sure which part, but Susan, you had a question?
Yeah. I was talking with someone, and we were talking about how feeling connected to other people, especially loved ones, feels so good. But sometimes we can feel bogged down by whatever they're struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they're very anxious, it can trigger that in us. And I was kind of just wondering what your thoughts are about, like, is that about, it's not really about the connection, is it?
Sure it is.
Okay, tell me
what. That's empathy. If your child is hurt and you don't feel connected to them, you might just say, well, why are you hurt? Why'd you hurt yourself? But if you feel the connection and you have a lot of empathy, then you're going to feel the pain too. If you see pain in their arm, your arm's going to hurt. I'm not sure how better to describe it than to say, yeah, that's absolutely connected. And if you look at the big picture that we're all looking for is that we're all one. How can I be part of the one? How can I stop feeling separate from the one? And guess what? If you're a part of the one, then you're going to feel things. Like you're going to feel other people's stuff. That's okay. I mean, that's, if you like to have intuition, you have to feel what's going on. And sometimes what's going on doesn't feel good, and other times it feels really great. So, when we connect with somebody and it doesn't feel good, we tend to disconnect or pull back. So, that doesn't feel good to connect with that person right now, so I'll just discontinue.
And is that okay?
It depends. I mean, it's okay for you. I mean, if you're the person who's disconnecting, like, yeah, it's okay for you. But if you are a healer, or if you're putting yourself out as a healer, then your job is to feel it. Because, and I'm speaking in very general terms, of course, but when someone is stuck in pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain, physical pain, whatever pain it is, it's generally because they're refusing to feel it. They don't want to feel it. They're trying to push it away. It gets amplified. If you call me a jerk and I don't want to be called a jerk and I pretend like I didn't hear it and I'm like, oh, she'll never call me a jerk, the feeling of jerkiness gets amplified. But if I just acknowledge it and feel it and say, oh, you're calling me a jerk, you think I'm a jerk? Okay, great. Now I know that you feel I'm a jerk. Like, it doesn't actually have to impact me other than as information. Now I have new information. So as a healer, if you're tuning into somebody or if you're connected with somebody you love and they're feeling pain, they're in pain mostly because there's some piece of it they're not willing to feel. They don't want to feel responsible, or they don't want to feel, who knows what, rejected, or they don't want to feel like they're stupid, or they don't want, like there's something there that they don't want to feel. And so our job, if we're being a healer, is to feel it for them. Because if you're empathizing with somebody and you feel their pain, it alleviates their pain. Even if it doesn't take it away 100%, maybe you feeling it 100% only takes away 5% from them. But when you're stuck in something, if it gets alleviated 5%, that's huge. And it might just be enough to be willing to feel the rest of it. So, that you connect and can feel what other people are feeling that simply means that you're in a place where if you wanted to, you could become a healer. But more significant than that, what it means is that you're actually connected. Because when we're connected, we feel what's going on. People, I've had people, I don't want to say, I've just had people say, like, people who do this, there's some sort of unconditional love training going on. I don't know what it's called or what, but I've had people who are doing it say that they don't want to do my program because I don't teach unconditional love, which is ridiculous, right? When we're feeling unconditional love, you naturally feel what you're connected to because not feeling something is a condition. It's like if someone says, I'll be your friend, just don't ever talk about politics. They're putting a condition on your friendship. And if you put a condition on your connection, like I'll be connected with somebody, but I don't want to feel their pain, that's qualified. It's a condition. That's not unconditional. Though there
And
is.
I'm just wondering, like, there's feeling and then there's like verbal communication. And I'm just kind of like thinking about, like, sometimes it feels like you don't serve someone when you allow them to always unburden themselves to you, to the point where it's almost like, well, now you see me coming, so you're going to unburden yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And sometimes it feels like I can understand what you're saying, that empathy is kind of always beneficial to people, like to actually open your heart and feel with the other person and feel what they're feeling. But it almost seems like we can also sometimes develop these bad habits of, like, almost like a response, like, oh, you're available, so I'm going to feel, where are my hurts?
Yeah. No, that's true. And what happens is when people recognize those skills in us, then they want to hold us hostage. They want to hold on. Patrick called them, my teacher Patrick Collard, called them Klingons. Gurus call them devotees. But there's no, like as a spiritual teacher, there's truly nothing more annoying than somebody who just wants to hold on but doesn't want to learn. They just want to hold on to your coattails and like make it, but they don't actually want to let go of the things that are holding them back. They don't want to learn about the things that are going to open them up. They just want to hold on. Very annoying. And that's just part of the program. Like there's always people like that. But during the previous age, the age of darkness, the Kali Yuga, that was the only way to learn. Like that's what teachers were expected to do because it was so hard to learn anything. And I mean, just you and I are old enough to understand and see how communication, the ability of people to communicate, has evolved in the past 50 years. Though you and I can see, 50 years ago when we were deeper into this dark age, men and women couldn't communicate. Like a man would say the sky's blue and a woman would hear, he thinks the sky's purple. Oh my gosh. Like there was literally this like really weird inability of men and women to truly understand each other easily. It's hard to imagine today. But remember there used to be a book called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, right? There was all these studies about like how men and women talk differently and interact differently and see the world differently. And that may all be true. But today, now that we're in an enlightened age, that's actually an asset. It's an asset that you see things differently from me because now we communicate and we can understand how we see each other, how we see things differently. But 50 years ago or 60 years ago, even a couple thousand years ago, we wouldn't have even thought to have the conversations that we're having today. Children today have like, boom, just blown my mind up. It's wild the way like they talk to each other. Like they understand, oh, let's talk about that and work this out. What? I didn't do that as a kid. I just go make different friends, you know? So there's um, the world's changing. The world's changing and it's opening up and um, that the need, there's still a residual, like it's pretty easy to say, oh, you know how to do something, so I'm just going to follow you and I'll let you do it for me. That's kind of the way things had to be. But now our ability to communicate and understand each other has opened up so much that that way of interacting with teachers, it's not really necessary anymore. It's certainly a lot more reasonable to discuss that empathy. And it's about how we feel. How comfortable is it to say to somebody, wow, I feel sad when I'm around you. Do you feel sad? Like that's a conversation starter. Whereas that might have been 50 years ago, that sort of conversation may have been contentious. Well, what do you mean I'm sad? How dare you?
Right. Well, there's this, I guess there's two things. One is just pure empathy of just truly feeling for the other person, just putting yourself in their shoes or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then there's also when you hear other people's problems or, suffering, really, it can like trigger your own again, and that's different. That's a different thing.
That's a totally different thing. But if other people's issues still re-trigger our own not enoughs, if we feel like something makes us feel not good enough in some way, that just means we repeat the play shot. That means there's something there that's getting triggered, and what do? You untrigger it. You walk it back to where it comes from and let it dissipate. So, but knowing the difference between your own old upset getting rekindled versus feeling the other person's present time upset does feel very differently. And they might not feel differently in our body in terms of, the tightness in the chest or the anger, like that all might be the same. But the sense of connection changes. So if I'm getting triggered by somebody, I lose connection with the world and my energy is all right here and I get wrapped up in my crap. But if I'm feeling someone else's stuff, I remain connected and I remain expanded and I remain interacting with them. And that's basically the difference. And that's as someone who used to be, a healer, put quotes around that, that's something that you just learn to do. You learn like, oh yes, I'm feeling this, but I'm remaining connected. What I'm feeling is this person's stuff.
Right. And that actually, when you can do that, it actually does feel good to me.
It really does, yeah.
It feels really good because it feels like you're really helping the other person and it's really not tearing you down. I mean,
no, not at all, because it passes through. Yeah,
exactly.
You feel it and it passes through. The thing about trauma is that the reason it's trauma is that we refuse to feel it. It's too much. It's overwhelming. And, if I got hit by a car, the imagery of the car hitting me and the pain in my body might be too much to just feel and let go. But you standing next to me, tuning in, you can feel it. And yet at the same time, you know that it's not happening anymore. So it's easy for your body to feel it and then just let it pass through. And then if you do it in that person's presence, they feel you feeling it and letting it go. And then that gives them the pathway or shows them how to let it go. So I mean, there are many ways of doing spiritual healing. This is just one. Feeling someone else's stuff can help break up the tension and the tightness. And the way I think of it is that, or the way I've perceived it is that when there's a traumatic event, and I've had plenty, so I had to dissect this, we tend to overthink it. And if you think of like you've got a big bag of marbles and you throw the marbles in the air, that's trauma. And then we try to figure it out. We put all the marbles in place. We got all the marbles in place in the bag and we understand it. But now because the marbles are in place, they're all very locked. They're locked together. And now it's harder to disperse them because we think we understand so well or know what it means. But then a healer comes along who doesn't have any attachment to it. And he doesn't have any significance. He hasn't attached significance to what it means or what it did, or he just doesn't have any charge on it. So when that healer is able to empathize and feel it, now all those marbles that were all super tight and arranged in a nice order together, they can be dispersed again. And they have to be. That understanding we have of our trauma and what it means, that always has to be let go of in order to heal. So like the abuse I felt and had to undergo as a small child. When I was wrapped up in what it meant and how it affected me, because that's all imagination, right? Am I using my imagination saying, oh, I wonder how that's affecting me today? And then sure enough, it's affecting me today. But if I just look at it and having felt what happened and having looked at it without trying to figure out what it means or why it happened or anything else, then it can just disperse because I haven't put it into a nice little box. I haven't arranged all those marbles into a tight little package I can understand.
Right, where if you take some out, it messes with your picture of how you're coping with this thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
When we truly heal, there's no need to cope. And coping mechanisms themselves perpetuate the thing. So, it's kind of a push me, pull you, chicken and the egg problem. Kind of let this go before I heal, or I got to heal to let it go. I mean, it's all, it just gets to be done. It all happens at once. But to your question points to the fact that you're far more connected with people in your environment than you used to be. You used to never have this question, right? So that's, and that's your answer. Your answer is that you're more connected than you used to be. What do you do with it? What it means? That all you just get to figure out. Because it's really up to your imagination. If you're a car salesman, you would probably be using information to figure out, well, how do I sell more expensive cars to these people? How do I get them to maximize their budget so I can make the most commission? And there's what was my point there? My point is that the more you connect with people, how that develops for you is really up to whatever your interests are. If you're a car salesman, your ability to connect with people is going to help you sell more cars. If you're a healer, it's going to help you feel other people's pain so that they can heal themselves faster or easier. If you just like understanding people, now it's just going to help you have better conversations. But what it means, that's just up to you. You tell me. You tell me what it means. What do you want to do with it? You want to get a different job? What do you want to do? Like, there's all kinds of, you can do whatever you want. But for me, I live my life and I let the universe throw opportunities in front of me. There's always something. It's always. You set an intention. I want to, I feel like learning about, we were talking about marbles. So I want to learn about marbles today. You just set the intention. I'm going to learn about marbles today, and just walk out of the house when it's not snowing. And yeah, maybe it'll take more than an hour, and maybe it'll take a week. But eventually, you're going to run into somebody who's an expert on marbles. I mean, you could be walking through the mall, and all of a sudden you hear a crash bang, and somebody's just dropped a bag of marbles. Boom, and they're asking you to help them pick them up. And then you suddenly remember, oh yeah, 3 days ago I set this intention to learn about marbles. And that's how I think we let the universe train us, is we just set intentions according to what our interests are, our true interests. And then just wait for the universe to line up and show you the deal. And sometimes it's really quick, like instantaneous, and sometimes it takes a couple weeks. It's really funny how like something weird will happen, and then I'll go, oh yeah, 2 weeks ago I was asking about this, or I've set this intention. I told the universe, boom, boom, boom. This happens for everybody. This doesn't only happen because you've done YBNL training. It actually happens for everybody all the time. It's just that people forget because we're so high energy, always looking outwards and always trying to like get things done, that we never slow down long enough to notice that the universe is constantly lining up according to our desires and intentions. That's why yogis learn to sit still. The whole point of yoga is to learn to sit still. I mean, in the East. Here in America, the whole point of yoga is to get hot buns. Hot buns yoga. But the real purpose of yoga is to learn to sit still. It's to be able to sit still comfortably. And if you think I'm wrong, try sitting still for 5 minutes. And what happens is the shoulder starts getting tight, your back starts hurting, the lower back this, and you start wanting to stretch your knees, bend your toes. Those are all distractions from stillness. The point of yoga is to get comfortable in your body so you can sit still and not be distracted by little body pains. So you can just feel with your heart, right? And feel with your sensations and feel with your spiritual body instead of constantly feeling little physical pains. So that you are able to be in stillness while in a crowded room, or to slow down and take in what's going on at any time, means that you can notice when the universe lines up with your intentions. Doesn't necessarily mean that the universe is lining up with you more so than other people. It just means that you're noticing. And the fact is, with more training and practice, the universe actually will line up with you far more than what it does with other people. But that's not because you're special. It's just because of training. The universe does already line up with everybody. Yay. So for anybody listening at home, if you think the universe is not lining up with you, you just need to change how you think about things. Literally, and it's not even thinking, it's how you feel about them. Because if you're in a terrible situation, you're like, oh man, my job really sucks, and I hate my house, and I hate my dog, and oh, this is all my life's never going to get better. You just told the universe your life's never going to get better, and the universe says, okay, good, your life's never going to get better. That is the universe lining up with you. That's literally the universe lining up with you. So when your body never lies, you learn to change your internal dialogue, change your internal monologue, maybe shift your inner body language so that you speak and intend the life that you wish to have. So that when you do notice that you don't like your dog, you don't like your house, and don't like your job, instead of saying those things, you say, oh, my house is getting better. My dog is learning how to behave nicer. And my job's becoming a lot more interesting. And maybe you don't believe it the first time you say it, but if you set the intention of my job is becoming more interesting, my dog is becoming more helpful, and my house is becoming more pleasant to live in, eventually those things happen. And maybe you just notice, oh, I just need to vacuum. And then you vacuum and now your house is more pleasant. Boom. That's one way to manifest. Another way is to just see your dog as being a friendly dog. And you know what? That will line up. I know someone who got their partner to quit drinking by seeing them as a non drinker. They never even told them to stop drinking. They just refused to see them as a drinker. And eventually the person stopped drinking. And it didn't take years. It took weeks.
That's interesting that you give that example, because when you were just saying that, I was thinking this connects back up to my first question, because one of the things I feel like I can do for the people that I care about is to hold an image of them, of just like a beautiful, what's the word, them using all their gifts and
Their perfect self.
enjoying it. Yeah, they're, and just carry that, especially for them when they're not feeling that way themselves. The other person's not feeling that way.
Yeah, you're absolutely true. I think it's Harriman. What's his name? I don't remember the research, but he says that 40% of who we are is how other people see us. And so, yeah, if you're a drinker and that other person sees you as a drinker, it's even hard. It's harder to give up drinking. I used to smoke cigarettes. Man, I was addicted like crazy. There was years of my life, 2 packs a day, and I rolled for years. And it's partially due to my birth script, born with a cord around the neck. So smoking lets me see my breath, makes me feel way how good I'm breathing. I figure that's probably why I started, aside from just wanting to be cool in high school. But quitting smoking, I just moved. All I had to do was move. I moved to Alaska. I had a couple friends living there. And they said, "Hey, you want to move up here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll move up there." I was bored. It was a mistake, maybe, but I moved there, and nobody there knew me as a smoker except my friends. And I just told my friends I'm not smoking anymore. So, and I would just go hang out with people who weren't smoking, and I never felt like smoking. It was so easy to quit. But while I was hanging out with my friends who all knew me as a smoker and expected me to be smoking, really hard. It's not just about people offering cigarettes, it's about how they see you in their mind. Well, in any case, we can tie both of these things together with, with the empathy. Because if you empathize with somebody and see they're in pain because someone broke up with them, you can then see them as happy because they've now found the perfect mate. Even if that mate hasn't actually showed up yet, you can still see them as happy because they found the perfect mate. And, if I'm that person and I feel you seeing me that way, even if I can't put words on the feeling, it's going to give me the confidence to go out and put myself out there to find the perfect mate.
Right, because that's the piece of it that it's hard to do. Like if you've been in a breakup, you just feel like this is the only person that's ever going to love me. I'm never going to love. And it helps to have a friend or, just hold that feeling that, oh no, you're spectacular. And we're going to find someone else. And it's so hard for them to do it, and it's so easy to do it for them.
Right.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, your question indicates to me that you're becoming much more connected with people, so that's really great. You just take that as confirmation that you're doing good.
I hadn't thought of that. Cool. Very cool.
Cool. So we did a half hour. I think that's pretty good for our video today. Thank you, folks at home. If you're interested in more, there are plenty of more videos at the Free of Limits channel on YouTube. And soon you can go to yourbodyneverlies.org to find out more information, and also the YBNLcollege.com. You can join to actually take classes. And okay, I guess that's it for today. Anything you want to say?
No, that was great. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, cool. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye. Bye.